Good evening and welcome to Wednesday night OWCP Chats with Chris Helms and special guest Tom Giampa.
How's it going?
Tom is our partner in, where are we at? Ohio. And he just moved from Massachusetts to Ohio in Dayton. By the way, we've got Gini, and she's on Skype. Tom and I can see Gini. She's going to be asking the questions tonight. And say hi, Gini. So that just happened. All right, so some folks are starting to jump on. Thank you, Rhonda. Hello. And while you're getting on, remember to share and just hit the share button. It looks like this. It's got a S, H, A, R, and an E. If you'll hit that button, it'll go to all your friends list on Facebook, and surely you have a friend. Maureen, hello. Matt Hayes is watching. Ron, what's happening? Hi, Ron. Everyone share. Tonight should be a big one. You've got Tom here again, for those of you just jumping on. Tom is our partner who lives here in Daytona, in Dayton, Ohio, where we're at right now. And Tom and I have been shooting videos in an effort to recruit doctors to the franchise so you all have more doctors. So we did that, and what else did we do today?
Shot some guns.
We did. We shot off about 250 rounds, and it was very relaxing.
Yep.
He's a better shooter than I am.
We were lucky enough to find some ammo, and so we burned through it.
Yeah, we really did burn through it. Kelly, hello. Alex, hi, how are you? People are starting to get on. That's awesome. Don't forget, we want you to share. Tonight is a Q&A, so you're going to ask and we're going to answer. But you've got me times 2. Yes, Ron, I do miss you. That was funny. Ron said, you miss me? Yes.
I miss you.
Yes. And for those of you that are getting on a little bit late, Jeannie's over here on Skype. We can see her. She's going to be reading your questions and answering. Hi, Tammy. And making sure that we get all your questions answered. And if we don't get all of them, when it's over tonight, we'll continue answering. Tammy said that she's from Springfield.
Oh, that's close by.
Mm-hmm. She's in Florida now.
Oh.
Yeah, but she's from there. She was a past Jeep girl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you gave up that life.
Yep. Ron, yes, with the gun. Did you miss me? Oh, well, I did miss you, Ron. And I did miss you with the gun, thankfully. Okay, just a couple of other housekeeping items. Go to Twitter. Follow us at Fed Injury Center. It's not Federal Injury Centers. It's at Fed Injury Center. No S on the end. And you can get rules, laws, and regulations that'll help you if you're injured at work. At this point, we have like 840 followers, which is awful because there's 2.8 million federal employees. So a few more of you could probably stand to jump on. And I hear all the time that you don't like social media. Well, what are you doing here? Because this is Facebook, and it was, I think it was social media before Twitter. So you're already there. Like, you have a phone, I'm sure, and you do social media. So get Twitter, at Fed Injury Center. And hello from Chicago. Hi, Chicago. And yes, you will be a Jeep girl again one day, Tammy. All right, so how's everybody tonight? Everyone say hi to Jeannie. Give a bunch of love hearts. She's watching from Clearwater, and we're watching her on Skype. I'm sort of stalking her, and in a minute she's going to start asking questions.
Tell them who our new guy is.
Yeah, so he's not a new guy, so this is funny.
Tom, he's my replacement.
Yeah, Tom's our partner, and he's one of the original founders, me and him and Joe, of Federal Injury Centers. And there's actually a funny story. We're going to tell a funny story.
All right.
Before I met Tom, I knew Joe, our partner. And Joe said, you need to talk to Tom. And I said, I don't want to talk to Tom. I don't talk on the phone. In fact, when Jeannie knew Joe also before I knew her, and he told Jeannie, you should talk to Chris. And I didn't want to talk to Jeannie either because I'm kind of a jerk like when it comes to phones. So I'm not really big on being on phones. And so I avoided this call with her and with Tom. I just kept avoiding it because I didn't know what it was all about. And but finally, one day, Joe calls and says, hey, do you have a minute? I have Tom on the line. And I was like, all right, I'll talk to him.
Yep.
So what was your take on it?
Joe had been asking me to talk to Chris for months on end. you got to talk to Chris. You got to talk to Chris. He's your age. You're gonna like him. I think you guys would be good friends. I think you like doing business together. You're the same type of guy, you know. And I'm like, no, I'm all set. I don't even need friends. I don't even need more business, anything like that. Joe is great at finding new ideas, and he's got a lot of them.
And putting people together. He's really good at it.
Putting people together, he is really great at that.
Occasionally, the people he puts together end up liking each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And so he had been, same thing, talk to Chris. And I was just, no. So in an effort one day to get him to stop asking me to talk to Chris, I said, if you can get him on the phone right now, I'll talk to him for 15 minutes, but at minute 16, I'm hanging up the phone no matter what. And we talked for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so.
Match made in heaven.
Yeah. And it's been
beautiful.
Yeah. It's been rainbows and butterflies ever since, you know.
Yeah. More rainbows than butterflies. Those are annoying.
Yeah. So.
All right. So, Jeannie, are you sharing?
Okay, finish sharing.
All right, so she shared to a lot of pages. You all do the same thing. I'm watching the feed come, and I'm not seeing questions. Do we have questions yet?
Okay, so we have Ron Jackson said Chris has more hair. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, they actually didn't let me on to live for a long time due to a hairless policy. And so they really gave in just recently and let me on. They said it was going to be too shiny, you know, and the glasses on top of it. It was just it wasn't good.
But to balance it out, I had to shave my beard.
Yeah.
And that wasn't fair either. So that's out.
Okay, so
what do we got?
Emily Falcon says, I noticed you all say there's no Oxford in Chicago, but Hoffman Estates. Dr. Patron is only 40 minutes away. I helped a woman from Indiana, and now she's a patient of his and drives 2 hours to see him.
That's a long way. So obviously as a franchise company, we're making an effort to increase the doctors around all the areas of the country. The goal is so nobody eventually has to drive more than half an hour to an hour to get any place. So, I'm glad that you're able to send someone someplace where they can get some help, though. It's good.
Yeah, so we're actively working on this problem. I do a lot of stuff that's behind the scenes. And so, one of the things that came about from that phone call with Chris, and the reason why we stayed on the phone for an hour and a half is because what he told me about what's happening with federal employees just grabbed me so strongly that at that time, I literally just started cutting everything out of the business life in order to work with Chris on helping, get more doctors to federal employees. It is a big task.
It really is.
It's a big task.
Doctors don't want it.
This is a hard program, guys. All of you know that. And for us to teach a doctor how to do this properly takes time.
Yeah.
This is not like opening up a primary care office. You can open those every 30 days. It's easy and just write Z-Packs the whole time. This is not like that at all.
Yeah.
It's difficult, and as you guys know how difficult it is to get these narratives in and approved, even when you know how to write them properly. So when we go out and find doctors, we're not just casting a wide net and getting anybody who wants to join. We turn a lot of people away.
Yeah, we're picky.
Yeah. So there's not a scenario where we just, a doctor wants to do it, great, let's do it. No, we actually, in fact, I'm the no guy. I'm probably the no man in the group. I think that's a definite.
Yeah,
no, right?
If any of us is going to say no, it's going to be Tom, which actually makes it convenient because he likes it. And if I don't really feel like saying no, I can just pass it off because he doesn't mind. It works out just fine. But yeah, we are picky with doctors. I just want to say this. If in the first few minutes of a call with a doctor, if the doctor starts asking about money, the call doesn't last very many more minutes.
Yep, see you later.
Yeah, it can't be all about the money. It's got to be about the people. What you got there?
All right, so Julia Brown says, how do people find offices to go in places where federal injury centers are not located?
Yeah, well, we have only 7 offices, and so there's a lot of places to go where we're not located for now. But you have to go to Google. They'll tell you about another place, but primarily I would choose Google, and you go there and search OWCP Injury Doctor and your city and state. OWCP Injury Doctor, city and state. And if there's anybody in your area that wants to help you, they'll definitely be found by using that search. There's also, what's the new provider portal called? Used to be ACS.
Yeah. I think it's junk.com.
It is.
I think it's
is.
maybe trash. It could be trash.com.
Junkdoctorslist.com.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, if you get on that list, and you're going to be sorry that you found it, because you'll call pages and pages of doctors potentially that either won't know what OWCP stands for, they don't like workers' comp, they don't understand federal workers' comp, and they don't want you as patients.
Yeah.
It's a real frustrating situation. Anybody that's done it, you could probably hit some mad faces, and we'll know that there's people that have tried that search portal. It's awful.
Yeah, actually, most of the doctors on the government site that don't even know that they're on there.
Yeah.
So frequently, someone will say, "Oh, there's tons of doctors." Well, go ahead and call them. And when you do, what you'll find out is they don't even. The best question to ask when you call a place is, "Do you accept OWCP?" And if they say, "What is that?"
Hang up.
Hang up the phone.
Yep, just hang up.
Yep, they don't know where it is. Don't go there.
Yeah, and you don't have to waste any more of their time by not becoming their patient, because you're not going to at all.
Can you list the federal injury centers where all the federal injury centers are located, and why the doctors that you've trained are not a part of that?
Okay, so that's two questions. First, let me start with the second part. Before we recreated this company and turned it into a franchise, Tom and I started out by training doctors as their consultant. Doctors use consultants all the time, and this is actually going to feed nicely into that other question that everyone wants to know.
Yep.
Doctors use consultants all the time. In fact, our other partner, Joe, the way I met him is I was the operations manager for a doctor, and Joe was our consultant. Doctors use consultants all the time. So we started this company and began teaching doctors as consultants how to do federal workers' comp. And that was really a painful process, because we needed to live, and we don't charge you a penny ever, no matter what. Like, this is free. Coming to our offices is free. No federal injury centers has ever taken a penny from anybody. And so the way we were able to sort of survive in the process of teaching you is by acting as the doctor's consultant. Well, that lasted for a while, but it was frustrating because we couldn't get doctors to pay the money that we needed to live. And a few times I joked, and I still say it, I could go work at Subway and make more money than this. So we changed that, and we had a different model, and now we're at this model. And in this model, we're a franchise, like McDonald's is a franchise, like Dunkin' Donuts is a franchise.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're just like that. And so people ask us all the time, how do you get paid? In fact, I'm going to let Tom answer this question, but the last time I was asked that question, I was standing in a convention in front of a union with 100 people in the room in Chicago. And someone stood up and said, how do you get paid? Easiest question in the world, but people don't really understand the answer.
So we actually get this question all the time.
All the time.
We understand why people are asking it. We're out doing these lives. We go out and speak at conventions, and we do it for free. We even pay our own way. So that kind of perks people's ears up. And how can you do that? Well, we want to get the information out.
Yeah.
It's sometimes hard for people to believe this, but our primary objective right now is to make sure that everybody's getting the help they need and deserve and are entitled to.
Yeah.
Obviously, our families need to eat too. So here's how we get paid. This is the easiest answer to how do you guys make money. OWCP at its simplest form is simply an insurance company.
Right.
Okay. When you go to your
like Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Aetna. It's an insurance. It's
Yeah.
a payer. It pays even like Medicare. It's a payer.
When you go to your primary care doctor, there's a copay, and then they charge your insurance.
Yeah.
All right. So the insurance pays the greatest portion of the bill. With OWCP, because it's workers' comp, there's no copays. So once the case gets accepted, we just submit the bills to the insurance company, OWCP, and they pay the bills. And if you folks happen to go to a federal injury centers, then that bill will go to OWCP, and we would participate in that.
Right.
If you go to some other person's office, that's perfectly fine. In fact, you can go to any office that you want. In fact, one of the reasons why Chris and Gini are religiously doing these lives is because we don't have enough doctors.
You have to go to somebody else's office, and we know it.
And that's perfectly fine. We encourage that, especially if you're in California where there's nobody.
Yeah.
If you're in the western part of the country where there's nobody, Alaska, zero.
Right.
There's nobody up there. Okay? The greatest portion of the country has zero providers helping them. So one of the reasons why they're on here doing this so frequently, answering questions, is that when you go to another provider, you know what questions to ask. you possibly even know the answers to those questions yourself already. And,
Yeah.
that's primarily why we do this. But how we make our money is if you come to our office, we charge the insurance company, OWCP.
Right.
You know, that also leads to another question that we get all the time. Are you guys scamming? Well, if we're scamming...
Well, obviously, yes.
What?
We are scamming.
Yeah, we're scamming ourselves.
Now, so Gini always says, if you can swipe your card into the phone
Yeah.
right now, go ahead and do that.
Swipe it.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm not sure what you're swiping for.
The reason why I said we're scamming ourselves is because we can't charge OWCP anything. We can't submit the bills to them until the case is accepted. So that entire time, if you're treating in the office, that goes unpaid until the case gets accepted. So there's not a single patient has ever come to one of our office and handed over even one penny.
Yeah.
So we can't scam anybody if there's no exchange of money. You know, so no, we're not trying to scam. You know, how we get paid. You know what? People ask about Chris's book all the time. They ask about his book all the time. And I want to clarify something about that. If Chris was making money, or if he was doing this just to sell those books, okay, and if he was making a bunch of money at it, don't you think I'd want some? Don't you think I'd say, you made a gazillion dollars off of this book. I need my share. He's not making any money off that book, guys. That book and these lives is the most efficient way to get the information out to everyone.
I've even given over 100 books away for free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's 100% loss, by the way. Okay.
But the whole point is to sort of circle back around. Is to, you know, it's our mission. What's our mission? It's to get the information out to you. Because it did us no good when we were consulting for doctors, and we teach doctors to be experts. It did no good for the doctor to be an expert, but for the federal employee base there to not know how to choose a doctor, not know how to fill out a CA1, not know how to get a CA16 or work status, you know, all those things. So it's in everyone's interest to become experts and not wait on the doctors to know everything. I mean, we're experts. Probably nobody knows more than we do.
Yeah.
I doubt it. But the doctors we train to be that as well. And, you know, we're really grateful you're here because you need also to be that. There was a second part to that question. I want to make sure we don't brush through it. The question was, what about the doctors we train? Why aren't they part of federal injury centers? They don't want to be. And they don't have to be.
They're still great doctors.
Wonderful. We love them.
Yeah.
We love them. We've invited them, but we didn't invite them with a gun to their head. They didn't have to join. And so they've chosen to continue just on as a single practice, and that's okay. Their mission is to help the people in their city. Our mission is to help the people in 50 states.
Right.
Where are the clinics located only, and let them know that, you know, we are coming.
Yeah. So Federal Injury Centers has 7 locations. Clearwater, Florida. The doctor in Clearwater has written plans to open 14 other offices all the way up the East Coast into New York. So that's in the next 12 months, ideally. We've got an office in Birmingham, Alabama. Those 2 offices are helping the most people by volume of people and have the highest claims acceptance rate too. All of our Federal Injury Centers offices have an extremely high claims acceptance rate, more than 9 out of 10. But these 2 offices in particular are just really crushing it. We've got 2 offices in Massachusetts.
Yep.
Norwood and Quincy, right outside of Boston. Memphis, Tennessee is a new one. Memphis has only had like 2 federal employees as patients. The first one already has her claim accepted, and she drove from a long way to get there. So she was really happy the very first time it went in, it got accepted. We expect the second person to do the same. And we have 2 offices in Texas, in McKinney, which is roughly 20 minutes north of Dallas, 30 minutes south of the Oklahoma border, and another one in Oak Cliff, Texas, which is South Dallas. And that's our newest location, the one in South Dallas.
I saw can I just interrupt real quick? There was a question that I saw come up while I was talking about how we make money. And the question was, how long can you go to one of a Federal Injury Center's offices, get PT without your case being accepted? So here's the deal. There's actually not a lot of fraud on the patient's side of this program. One of the reasons why we get asked how we make our money and if we're scammers is because there was a lot of doctors
Prior.
committing fraud. You can look it up.
Prior to like 2007,
Okay.
actually.
We screen everyone to kind of see if we think they're committing fraud or not. There's honestly, on the patient side, there's not.
We've never even
Right.
seen it. Maybe once.
And we deny.
Yeah.
We tell them you can't come to our office.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we believe if we believe that you have a legitimate claim that you were actually hurt at work, okay, we will let you come to our office until your case is accepted and not have to worry about that bill. All right?
Right.
The reason for that, and a lot of people don't know this, you guys know this, but a lot of people don't know coming for the first time, is that you have an unlimited number of chances you can refute or
appeal
denials from OWCP, and we're confident to keep going and doing that if it's a legitimate case.
Yep.
And if we feel like that is the case from day one, we let you treat. We're not going to have you suffer or even heal incorrectly while your case is going, 3, 6, 9 months to get accepted. That's an awful scenario for you. We're not going to do that to you.
Yeah, and the other part of that is the question, I think, was how many times can you get therapy before your case is accepted? It depends on the doctor because that's a medical decision. That's not a decision that Tom and I make or Gini. That's your doctor's decision. So if your doctor thinks you still need it and is willing to keep providing it, then you just keep going. There's no rules that say you have to be cut off after X number of sessions. That's not how it works. It's based on what the doctor says is medically necessary, and then just follow your doctor's orders. What you got?
So when you're going to answer it, reply with the name. So Deborah says, a friend of mine wanted to know after OWCP cases 16 years ago, can she still receive a schedule award?
Oh, I love this answer to this question. So Eric Blauer says you're eligible for a schedule award as long as you're not dead. So the question is she alive?
Did she send that in herself, or did someone send that in for her? Because if she's still...
Somebody sent it in for her.
So
Okay.
She could be dead.
So if your friend is still living, your friend is eligible for a schedule award. That's the answer. Eric says as long as you're alive. And I double-checked that, not that I needed to, but I read the same thing. Yeah, you just need to be living. If you try to file for a schedule award the day after you pass, you won't be able to get it.
Yeah, denied.
Yeah, so do it prior.
Carol Marchand. So when you answer to Carol. I'm in Arizona for a week. Do you have a center out here?
Hey, Carol, Federal Injury Centers doesn't have a center, but we trained a really, really great, nice doctor.
Great doctor.
Really good guy in Tucson.
Yep.
And you can look him up. Google, try this, in fact. Google OWCP Injury Doctor, Tucson, Arizona. He'll definitely come up, but his name is Heaton, Heaton, Dr. Heaton. But Google OWCP Injury Doctor, Tucson, Arizona. Dr. Heaton will come up.
Rebecca says, my average is over 40 hours per week for the year. On an approved claim, how many hours can I expect to get paid for?
40.
40.
It's all of them.
Yeah.
All of them. Yeah. So you fill out your CA7, CA7A if needed. Turn in the required documentation. We talk about this all the time. Be sure you have a CA20, CA17s if you were taken off of work, a disability narrative from your doctor explaining why you're off of work, and printouts of any appointments that you were at proving that you were doing something related to your injury while you're off of work. Attach those things to your CA7, and you should get paid for all your hours.
By the way, if you haven't yet filled out a CA7, if you go to our website, federalinjurycenters.com, there's a video tab there. Click that, and then there's videos on how to fill out your CA1, CA2, and CA7, 7A, 7B, and then your SF 1199A for the government. So you can get all that right there. It's nice and easy. You can pause, restart, go back, do it all from the comfort of your lazy boy chair.
Yeah.
And it's a great resource for you guys.
So he just did this thing that I did on one of those pages of Breaking OWCP. I wrote this paragraph that's super confusing for my entertainment. If anybody is watching and don't understand CA1, CA2, CA7, so on and so forth, don't worry about it, okay? Everybody, when they started, didn't know what any of that stuff meant. But if you go to federalinjurycenters.com, okay, if you look at this logo, Federal Injury Centers, it's an S on the end, federalinjurycenters.com. Check out his videos tab. It's really great. It goes box by box, and it'll help you fill those out. So don't miss those videos. It's really important.
Ron Jackson says, any doctors in Oklahoma?
Sorry, Ron. The best we can do for you in Oklahoma is you drive down to McKinney, Texas. And depending on where that's at in Oklahoma, obviously that's anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours. That's the best we can do at this point because we haven't gotten Oklahoma yet.
Tammy Newman said, wow, you guys are comedians. You two work well together, LOL.
We do. And you know what? A bonus was we didn't shoot at each other today.
And we were pretty close. We wouldn't have missed.
We were this close,
Yeah.
actually shooting. When he shot, I could feel the heat from his gun, and I was wearing glasses, so it was okay. I was like, wait, is somebody shooting at me?
So
It wasn't him. He didn't shoot at me. It was great.
I'll tell you what, the same thing has happened to both Chris and I. People have said, will you dump Chris and then just come work with me? People have said, dump Tom,
Yeah.
dump Joe. And, you know, I don't want to do this without Chris.
Yeah.
Part of why this is fun is because Chris is here. And Gini, by the way. Gini too, but, you know.
You know, it's.
She's over there laughing.
I mean, I just imagine how fun it would be. To be in your position.
Chris, you guys don't know this, but I'm Chris's boss.
Somebody's got to be.
Yeah. Whose boss is who?
Which is actually perfect because I'm like, hey, the more you do, the less I do. This is wonderful. All right, what else?
All right. Kelly says, I was recently sent to a neurologist who is with Department of Labor. In his medical narrative, he put his personal opinion in patients should be compensatable. Department of Labor was pissed, and I was surprised myself that he stepped out to say this.
Yeah, sometimes they do. That's actually not the first company. I like just their company doctors. He's not the first company doctor that I've seen do that. But typically, they don't get a lot more cases thrown their way if they go against OWCP or the agency. But that's great. I'm glad that worked out.
Patricia Stevenson says, hello, how are y'all?
Hey.
What is the purpose of work hardening if you already have permanent limitations?
Yeah, okay, I can't speak to the permanent limitations and how a person with permanent limitations qualifies for work hardening. But I can tell you about work hardening because back in half of my life ago, I worked in a work hardening clinic, so I know all about it. Work hardening's purpose is to get you back to work, okay? If you have permanent limitations, I don't know what those are. Maybe there are some restrictions you've got that can be improved and some things can't be. But work hardening's purpose is to get you back to work as close to full duty as possible. That's its whole thing. It's a physical program, and usually it's 3 or 4 hours a day. I guess you could do it for 2 hours a day. And but truthfully, doctors that understand OWCP don't use work hardening. They use combinations of other things. Just as a side note, that's just how it is.
Julia Brown says, what if my claim never gets accepted? Will I owe?
All right, so jump in anytime, but I know all the answers.
Yeah. So
Not money.
yeah,
Not money from bills, but
if we take your case on,
yeah.
okay, if we take your case on in one of our offices, one of Federal Injury Centers, okay, we're going to fight tooth and nail
To get the case
to
accepted.
get the case accepted.
Like,
if
never
it's a
quit,
legitimate
ever.
case,
Yeah.
okay. So we will keep on going and going and going. It doesn't make a difference how many denials we have to fight. You know, so far our record is 7 narrative reports for 1 patient.
Which meant 7 denials.
7 denials. Okay, so we ask you to stick with us because sometimes the process can be lengthy. It can be tough. It can be discouraging.
Ridiculously.
You know, but when you have to trust us and say, you know, if we're telling you, stick with us, we know what we're talking about, we can keep fighting the denial, then we keep fighting. You know, so, and we're going to keep fighting until the case is open.
Yeah.
So if we take your case on, how much would you owe us if the case never gets accepted? The case will only not get accepted if you give up on us.
That's right.
Okay?
But we never collect money from anybody,
Right.
even if we never get it accepted, because that meant that we did a bad job. We felt like you had a legitimate claim that was timely filed and we couldn't get it done, which doesn't happen. But what if you go to another doctor? Okay, the hypothetical works for you. If it's a non-Federal Injury Centers doctor, you don't get your claim accepted. Maybe the doctor does try to bill you, but they're not supposed to, okay, because OWCP is their only remedy. Where I get concerned, which has never happened to one of our patients at any of our offices, but it has happened, is having to pay back your COP. Is that if you don't get your claim accepted, eventually you take COP and maybe you had 45 days of continuation of pay. If your claim never gets accepted, they want that back. So they take your sick leave, your annual leave, and then they just start deducting it, after that. If you are at a federal injury center's office, and again, this is not a sales presentation for our offices. This is a training. But I have to answer it both ways. If you come to our office, that won't happen. If it happens to you, you'll be the first. If you go to any other doctor, I can't speak for them, but it is possible that you could be in a position to have to pay stuff back.
Yeah, I mean, most doctors are going to make you go on your personal health insurance first.
Yeah.
Before your case is open.
Which is how you know you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. But like Chris has said, the fact of the matter is that we have 7 federal injury centers out there. The likelihood of all of you uprooting your entire lives to move close to one of our offices is pretty unlikely. So you just have to kind of remember this stuff when you're going to other doctors. Okay?
Yeah, but you know what? That's a really good point, too, because at this point, a small fraction of total federal employees are around the 7 offices that we've got. But it's shocking to me that so many of you still don't even know who we are, okay? You are watching now but haven't shared with enough of your friends. You're not taking things to the office, letting your friends know. You see somebody limping around, and you let them keep limping around instead of saying, hey, did you get help? But this happens all the time. We've got offices in Tennessee, in Texas, in Florida, in Alabama, in Massachusetts. And, if you're in those areas, there's no excuse to have a denied claim because you could have came to one of our offices. So I really think that needs to happen. That's why we're doing this. If we expand to 50 states and there's no demand for what we do, meaning you don't show up, we can't stay. That's just part of the deal because it costs money to operate those things. So you're seeing the problems that people are asking about, and you can avoid those if you're in an area where there's a federal injury center's office. I recommend it unless you just love the pain of a denied claim and losing feels really good, and you like to do more of that, and you love a good challenge. Then you can keep going where you're going.
Chris and Gini frequently say on live, if you go to a doctor, the good doctor, see if they want to get involved. We have actually spoken with doctors that you guys have recommended. Chris just spoke with one last week. Who
didn't want to go through with it.
Yeah, so
we're still considering it.
If you guys have recommendations in your area, ask them if they want to talk to us. We can we're happy to talk with anybody who wants to help. If they can help, us with this mission, we want to talk to them.
The goal is to get more people closer to you. And Shirley Hicks, you're very welcome. Jeannie, what else you got?
Kelly says she's thankful to all of you.
We're thankful for you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Julia Brown says, if my case doesn't get accepted, how long can I visit a federal injury center's office for PT?
Again, that's a medical decision, but we don't turn you away. Federal injury centers does not turn patients away because of money. We don't do that. We don't accept your money. We don't accept your health insurance, your private health insurance. For us, we take the risk that you're taking. If we don't get your claim accepted, you're losing all your benefits, and we're not getting paid. And isn't that how it's supposed to be, right? You didn't get your benefits. Why should we get paid to do a bad job? So at our offices, you can go until the doctor says you're discharged, and that's a medical decision that we don't make.
Yeah, we said differently, we've never turned a patient away who needed care, who didn't have whose case wasn't accepted yet.
Yeah, and we never asked them for money or insurance. Hey, Kim.
Suzanne says, my doctor seems not to read what OWCP is requesting. How do I get him to send an x-ray results and detailed exam notes if I sent it to him?
Does he have see if they have a medical assistant in their office or an assistant or somebody. Explain it to them so they can explain it to the doctor.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say that a doctor is not a good doctor or anything like that, but the fact of the matter is, and more so even now in this new world that we're living in after COVID, doctors do not have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Okay, this is another reason why it's hard for us to get this program started, because to write those narrative reports with all that detail, it requires them to take time, billable time away from other patients. So if a doctor is very busy, he's going to cut corners, and what he needs is for someone to tell him what to do, and that's usually an office manager, a medical assistant, or someone else in the office, or even a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant. Talk to one of them to have them relay that info to the doctor, because the case will never get opened if you're not giving the information that OWCP has requested. Yeah. That also means if the case isn't open, they're never going to get paid. You're actually doing them a favor by telling them this needs to get sent in because you will not get paid without it.
The other thing I always teach is nobody cares more about you than you. I would hope nobody will take better care of you than you will, and nobody will fight more for you than yourself. So take it into the doctor and demand it. When you get a denial letter, circle the paragraph in the denial letter that explains why it was denied. Give that to the doctor. Tell them to write a narrative report that explains why it shouldn't have been denied. If you need things like extra reports, make it happen. Show up, make it happen. Make an appointment with the doctor. Don't be somebody that takes no for an answer. We're not.
Yep.
And I respect that you're not. So don't take no for an answer.
She also says, Suzanne, my doctor seems uncomfortable sending exam notes. I had to ask for an x-ray, and I'm kind of hoping he'll do an MRI. OWCP is asking for more definite information, and he just keeps saying my injury is from work and repetitive duties of work. If it wasn't for work, it would have made me worse and not allow for healing. Any suggestions?
Yes.
I've been denied first time.
Time to go. Time to get a new doctor.
Change treating doctors.
Yeah.
So
That's awful.
what I've done on the website for the book, the book is called Breaking OWCP. And Gini, will you just kind of, will you pin the website?
Pinned it.
Okay.
Everything is pinned below.
All right, so check below and look at www.breakingowcp.com. The reason why is there's a tab that's a free downloads tab. And how to change doctors is confusing. So what I did is I made a guide that you can use to attempt to change treating doctors. You can take this guide, turn it into a letter that you send to your claims examiner. If you include all the parts to this form that I created, then at least your claims examiner will understand what it is you're trying to accomplish. And then that's how you request to change a treating doctor.
But I want to ask her this question. So look for her answer, Ginny. Is this your primary care Is this your primary care doctor?
That's a good question too. Go ahead.
No. Can you, this lady said, Carol, she's asking about Dr. Heaton. Is this an injury center associated with us? They didn't mention the center in Arizona. Can you just explain that it's not a federal injury center?
No, Dr. Heaton's a wonderful guy. His wife, Drew, is a great lady. We love the staff. We have nothing but great things to say about them, but they're not part of federal injury centers whatsoever. That was a doctor that we trained back before we started this franchise.
Trained him.
When we were being consultants, okay? Yeah. So we were his consultant. We were with him for 12 to 18 months while he was learning, because that's what it took. It's what it always takes. Great guy, but not associated with federal injury centers. Yes. Not that I wouldn't want him to be. I actually invited him to be because I like him, and I think he'd be perfect because he's really a terminator when it comes to writing narrative reports. He refuses to lose. So definitely a good option.
Julia Brown says, can I still work overtime with work limitations?
That depends on your doctor. Your doctor's CA-17 and disability narrative is going to have to explain what you can and can't do. The question is, can you do it? If the doctor says you can, yeah.
Rebecca says, what is the 75% they talk of?
So,
what did you guys think?
Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah. It's 66 and 2/3 and 75.
Yeah. That's workers' comp pay. So someone will get 66% of their normal pay if they don't have any dependents. If they have dependents, they get 75%.
Yeah. So the more people you have living at your home, the more of your own paycheck you get.
Right.
Valerie Miller said, adding to providers, Dr. Cameraman is at Grace Medical in Fort Myers.
Okay. Yeah. We know and train Dr. Cameraman. He's good.
Great. Phenomenal reports.
Yep.
Are there any doctors in Georgia?
Sorry. If there are doctors in Georgia, we're not associated with them.
Ron Jackson says, is Dr. Ellis one of y'all's doctors?
No. No. Dr. Ellis really knows his stuff.
Great doctor.
Definitely powerful, medical and legally. But no, he's not.
Julia Brown wants to know if you're hiring.
We don't hire anybody named Julia Brown.
Sorry.
So that's
black, blue, any of the other colors maybe. No, I mean we're not hiring right now.
We're joking around. We know Julia Brown, and it's definite now.
Yeah.
Yep. We used to.
Deborah Arson said, "Thank you so much for answering my question. My friend
You're welcome.
will be thrilled. You guys rock."
You rock. You rock way more than I rock.
Jackie Brissett said, off work 21 months, no issues with OWCP, but I am on doctor number 11. And that one just blew me off after 21 months. They have all misdiagnosed me now, and I've been diagnosed with a different condition altogether. What will that do to my case?
It really depends. I mean, is it a different condition separate and apart from the other case? It's a new case? Or is it a different condition that goes with the old case? I'm going to tell you this, that's complicated. It's not the most complicated thing that we've ever heard. But why don't you call in tomorrow? Call 877-787-6927. That's 877-787-OWCP. And we'll let you talk to Jennifer and see if she can help piece that thing together for you. If anybody can, she can.
Rebecca said, what is the average wait time for a first check? Been 5 weeks and still waiting. The 40 hours per week, I was told it would be 75% of that for some reason. What would that be? When I ask them to explain, I never understand.
That's Rebecca?
Yeah.
Is the case open?
Yeah, Rebecca, is the case open? I was going to ask that.
Too late.
Is the case open? Because if you're waiting 5 weeks to get paid and your case is open, then maybe your supervisor didn't turn it in and the required 5-day period that they have to turn it in. So when you fill out a CA7 to get paid, you turn that into your supervisor. If you didn't do that, that's an explanation. If you did do that and they didn't get it into DOL within the 5 required business days, that's an explanation. If you got it in on time, they got it in on time, then you need to be calling your claims examiner every day if that's what it takes and find out why you're not getting paid. And find out what address they have. I mean, let's make sure your mail... Yeah. We had somebody who, the supervisor, put the agency's address as the home address, that dirty dog. And so all the correspondence was going to the supervisor. Now, I'm not saying that's happening with you, but find out. Where's your mail going? You know, what address do they have for you?
Another thing that also holds up getting paid. So the first check, the first time you submit your CA7, it does take a little bit longer than your normal payroll period to get paid on that. But what holds a lot of people up is they require a form called a federal direct deposit form. It's actually very easy. It's called the SF 1199A.
SF 1199A.
Yep. If you go to our website, federalengincenters.com, go into forms, it's at the bottom of the page there. Okay, you can also get that off of OWCP's website.
But that's harder. Sometimes you can't print stuff from their site. The PDFs don't work. They always work on our site.
Okay. What people think is because they're getting direct deposit for their normal paycheck through the post office or through their agency, TSA, whatever their agency is.
That there should be no delay now.
Yeah, they don't have to fill out another direct deposit form with OWCP.
But you do.
But you do, and if you don't send it in, and it's a common mistake, if you don't send it in, you don't get paid. So you do. I would call your claims examiner, like Chris said, and find out what the problem is.
Yeah, like why am I not getting paid? They'll tell you, and then you fix it. What else?
Okay. Mendy Castor said, I asked a question several weeks ago, and Eric Blowers is now helping me after my accident in an LLV in 2016. My life has been hell. I really want to thank you for what you guys are doing.
You're very welcome. We're glad you found us, and I hope you'll tell all your friends, and that goes for all of you. Matt, what was her name?
Mendy Castor.
Mindy, with an I, Mindy?
Mendy, M-E-N-D-Y.
Mindy. Okay, so imagine all the rest of you out there that there's a Mindy that you know and doesn't know about this and is struggling with something awful, and believe me, what she's been dealing with is awful, and you didn't tell them that this training is happening every week. Imagine that you know somebody like that and you didn't tell them. That's what we're here for the Mindys, okay? For everyone that's had a terrible problem, and we can fix it. And there's almost none that we can't fix. There are very few exceptions of cases I can think of that we can't fix, that we at least can't take a really great shot at. So everyone find your Mindy, okay, and let them know this is happening. And this is a good time for everyone to go ahead and share too. We got about 15, 20 minutes left, so keep sharing this. What else?
Leticia Smith said, should I get an approval before I get carpal tunnel surgery? I have been denied a CA1 and a CA2 due to the doctor refused to write the letter. I work at USPS. I called to make an appointment for Alabama.
Great. Well, that was a good first step for you. All the rest of those steps, I'm sorry, happened to you. when you get into the Birmingham office, all of your problems will stop.
They're going to take care of you.
It'll all be taken care of, 100%.
And yes, you want an approval for surgery before you get one, for sure.
Yeah, but if your case isn't accepted, they're not going to approve surgery. If your case is accepted, but for the wrong diagnosis, they're not going to approve surgery. So when you get into that Birmingham office, they'll clear all that up for you so that you can get what you need.
Kim Walsh said, if I do a reconsideration and it is denied, can I do a hearing after that, or is that the end of it?
Please let me take this.
Tom.
Oh, hi guys. Hey, never do anything that rhymes with hearing. Like hearing,
Yeah.
Okay? Don't do an oral hearing. Don't go to ECAB. Don't do any of that kind of stuff.
Don't
okay?
ever.
It's a waste of time.
Massive.
What people think they're going to when they go to an oral hearing is they think they're going to somebody, and if I could just tell them my story,
Right.
then they'll open my case. Once they hear what I have to say.
But that wasn't in the record.
Yeah. You know what they do? Is because it wasn't in the record, they tell you, okay, go back to your doctor.
Yeah.
Here's what we need your doctor to say. We need him to prove causation
Yeah.
once again. So all they do, and then by the way, after a hearing, you have 20 days to respond, which is less than
Reconsideration.
a reconsideration.
What about a review of the written record? What a waste of time is that?
I wish I've never even. I've never ever even one time recommended anyone do a review of written record.
Yeah, because it's the written record they used to deny your case the first and however many other times.
They already have that.
We don't need to review that.
Oral hearing, waste of time. ECAB, okay, ECAB is not a waste of time.
But it's like way down the line.
It's
Don't
like
do that now.
Way down the line.
And hopefully you never have to do it because you properly do reconsiderations.
Yes. So if don't do oral hearing. Was it Kim or whoever? Everyone, please.
Nobody.
Just go do a reconsideration. It's your best option.
I have a heavy chapter on this in the book, Breaking OWCP. You take a look at it if you have the book. If not, share it with someone else or tell someone else to get it. But reconsideration is the only option that makes any sense. You have 12 months to appeal, and they'll consider new information. And when you take your denial to the doctor, and your doctor uses that denial to write a new narrative, that's your new information. And every denial comes with one of those letters, so you can potentially do an infinite number of reconsiderations as long as the doctor is willing to write a new narrative report each time to reconsider.
Julia Brown said, when I come to your office, do you submit the paperwork?
Yeah, well, we submit the paperwork that's ours to submit, and so do you. It depends, but we'll walk you through it. Don't worry about it. That's a great question. The answer is we handle what you need us to handle. We make it very easy for you. You don't have to worry about things.
Victoria Phillips says, since I got a blood clot from my injury at work, which this is stated in my initial doctor's statement, am I covered through my original case?
Well, you would be. In the hypothetical that the blood clot was an approved condition to the original case, then yes. Until it's approved, then no.
She also said, I got injured a year ago, but I'm having pain in my leg again, just like before when I was diagnosed originally.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
You're
did you get the blood clot because of your original injury? If so, if your blood clot was caused by your original injury, that would be called a consequential injury,
right?
And that should get added to your case.
But your doctor has to write a narrative that's called consequential injury report,
exactly,
and make sure that he explains or she explains why the blood clot happened as a result of the injury.
They cannot just say they got a blood clot from the original injury. That's not going to cut it. It has to be a narrative report explaining why the blood clot formed because of the initial injury. And
she said something about the pain's coming back, where it was at, and what do I do? So anytime I hear that, I worry that someone will try to do a recurrence, a CA2A, and maybe that's what you need to do. But go back to your doctor and find out what's going on first. Make sure it's the same injury. If it wasn't ever approved as a condition to your claim, then that has to happen first no matter what.
Maria Mitchell said, I got my paperwork today to submit for my reconsideration. I'm having rotator cuff repair surgery next week. Do I need to wait for any post-op reports before requesting reconsideration, or should I submit the narrative I got from North Carolina?
Okay, so that makes me think I know who your doctor is, but which means it's probably a good narrative. The deal is you have deadlines. So anybody that tells you wait to submit something or don't wait to submit something needs to first know what your deadlines are. For a reconsideration, you have 12 months. People come to us In fact, we had 2 people in the last couple of weeks that came to us, and they were inside of their 11-month. They had, in other words, less than 30 days to go to file a reconsideration. And when you do that, you put the doctor in a corner and make it hard for them to get a good narrative out in time, in timely fashion. So know what your deadlines are, but to do a reconsideration, all it takes is for you to know why it was denied, and your doctor will be able to write a narrative. If you've got it, send it in. I wouldn't wait. Send it in.
Cynthia Hudgens said, I have been referred to our DRAC office for reasonable accommodations. Should I sign a release of medical information form for the DRAC office? I need a good doctor to write a good medical narrative.
Shoulds are funny. I mean, I would release my medical information to anybody I thought needed it to work in my best interest and help me. If who you're releasing this to fits that description, I would. That's all I got on that.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Juana Rivas says,
hold on.
One second.
Hold on.
Reasonable Accommodation Committee, is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah.
If they're trying to go ahead and get you, provide you reasonable accommodation, and they need proof of your injury, and it's to your benefit, then do it.
Sounds like a good idea. Hey, is everybody sharing? You share this.
Juana Rivas says, MRI doesn't show anything, but I'm in pain, burning and tingling sensation on my whole back, neck, and back of my head. Doctor refused to do a referral to an orthopedic surgeon. He is a neurosurgeon and told me he has nothing is broken and nothing he could do for me. He says he's not sending me to a surgeon because they can't do anything for me. What can I do? I didn't choose that doctor. OWCP nurse made the appointment for me. Can I change a doctor? How can I do it? Help, please.
You can. You can attempt to change the doctor. It's not automatic. The claims examiner may not allow it. But again, go to breakingowcp.com and get the free download. And it'll help you write your letter for a change of treating doctor if you think that's what you need. You know, I don't sit here and encourage people to change doctors. Even if it meant that you would change to one of our doctors, I wouldn't encourage you to do it. You should know what your options are and make whatever decision you think is best for you. If you think you need a new doctor, then write the request.
Especially if you're not getting the help that you deserve.
Yeah, I mean, we're not doctors, so we don't know whether or not your doctor has a good medical rationale for not sending you to an orthopedic. I don't know. But if you think it's a bad decision, then that's between you and your doctor.
Okay, I'm going to read this question and make sure you let them know that the doctor is not our doctor. LaShawn Price said your doctor didn't get my reconsideration in on time to OWCP. Is it worth getting an attorney or am I out of luck? And she's talking about Dr. Patron.
Yeah, I mean, we like him. He's great, actually. He's really good at this. He's a warrior, too. Not a federal injury centers doctor.
Yeah, let him know he's not federal injury centers.
You said that. You can probably hear her. They definitely hear you.
Yeah.
Say it again.
You're actually closer to the microphone than we are.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you're basically on live right now.
Say hi.
Hi.
Okay. Yeah, deadlines are tough. You know, missing deadlines is sometimes impossible to overcome. Call your claims examiner and find out what you can do, if anything.
You know, timelines are crucial. We have had several scenarios where a patient will come to us on the very last day.
Yeah.
And say, oh, I have to have my report in tomorrow. I don't think that was probably the case with you, but you're going to want to call your claims examiner and see what can be done.
Yeah. That is your only option right now.
Yeah, so she wants to know if she should get an attorney or is she out of luck?
Well, you don't know if you need an attorney. You probably don't. And if you're out of luck, the attorney can't help. So call the claims examiner, find out where you're at and what your options are at this point. And feel free and call us afterwards and let us know and see what we can do to help you.
Rebecca says, silly question. I'm looking to donate plasma to get some money as I haven't been paid for so long. Does this interfere with work comp? And if I rush back to work early due to needing money and the doctor says, let's try it, and I realize it's too early, she's going to have meniscus surgery. Can the doctor put me back in restrictions?
The doctor can do anything. I think that answers the doctor part.
Could you read the first question
Well,
again?
what she was saying is, I'm going to sell my plasma for extra money. How's that going to affect my workers' comp?
Right.
And you do have to document sources of income on the CA7. If there's no place for that, then don't document it, for sure. And the doctor can do whatever. Like, medical decisions are medical decisions. None of us has a medical license, so I wouldn't assume to know what the doctor's thinking there.
Yeah, but the doctor should send you back with the appropriate restrictions for your job.
And if you can't handle it, you go back to your doctor and say, "Doc, I can't handle it. This is killing me."
Yep.
And if you can, let your doctor know it's working out just fine.
Maria Mitchell said, I just got my first denial on the 21st.
Well, get that denial letter back to your doctor. Circle the paragraph that talks about why it was denied, and get a new narrative written explaining why it should be approved. Do a reconsideration and send all that in. The last page on your denial is a form called an appeal request form. Check reconsideration. Remember, don't check the rest of that stuff.
You don't want to do oral hearing?
Not so much, and I don't want to do oral hearings
Oh.
or reviews of the written record. I don't want to do that. And ECAB, it's too early. Just don't do that. So reconsideration. Yeah.
Julia Brown said, my supervisor doesn't take my CA forms. Is this going to be detrimental to my case?
Oh, yes, it will
Yeah.
be. So send it directly to HR yourself.
Yeah.
If your supervisor is getting in your way, just circumvent your supervisor, okay? We're not going to bash supervisors. I think you guys can do that enough on your own.
I mean, I will. I'm willing to. I'm always willing to.
We're going to go extra time tonight, guys.
I'm willing to do it.
Buckle up. We're going 2 or 3 hours on supervisors tonight. But here's the fact of the matter. We've had supervisors come to our office for help.
Yeah.
And they are not being trained on how to help you. You know, so it's one thing to say, I got a bad supervisor. It's one thing if the person wasn't trained in how to help you with your work injury claim, they don't know what to do. And
That's
often,
usually the case.
That's usually the
Not
case.
trained.
And what ends up happening is they'll call HR and they'll say, John Doe's over here. He's got X, Y, and Z going on. What should I do?
He thinks I'm supposed to fill out a form. What the hell is this about?
If you need to go ahead and call HR yourself, you already have a contact. You have a contact at OWCP, and you have a rep within your agency who's just there to help you with this claim at Injury Comp Department in Human Resources.
And they also have EAP, Employee Assistance. You can always contact them. That may be helpful. This is where I like to say that depending on your situation...
Yep. Jeannie?
We had a little hydraulics going on Jeannie's laptop over here.
Julia Brown said, at the UPS, the
Hold
job
on,
they
I wasn't
offer
finished.
based on my limitations says I can only work 5 days with a weight limitation. I'm scheduled
She's not
6
listening
days
to
a
me.
week and constantly
She has
do
no idea I'm
more than
talking
the
to her.
job requirements they offered me. And my supervisor says I can't go to appointments during work hours. How do I address this?
So you didn't hear anything I just said. I was trying to answer that other question, and you were reading a new question.
Oh, sorry.
So I definitely didn't even hear that question because I was talking about you to the camera when you weren't listening to me.
You guys cut out a few times.
Yeah.
Oh, did we?
Yeah. So I don't even remember what I was answering before.
Yay.
All right. If
Sorry.
we didn't fully answer your question,
All right,
let us know.
all right, Julia's question was, how do we get off of work to go to therapy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
because it says I can't go. My supervisor says I can't go to appointments during work hours. How do I address this?
Oh, hold that thought. I remember what I was going to say on the last one.
All right.
If
Okay.
your supervisor and then you HR, injury comp, if you can't find somebody to help you, file a grievance. File a grievance. If they won't let you report your injuries, contact OSHA, 1-800-321-OSHA. Explain your situation. You're not making an accusation. Explain what's going on and ask them if it's a violation for them not to allow you to exercise your 6th OSHA right, which is to report a work injury. Is that a violation? Because OSHA has a list of rights, and the number 6 is to report an injury. So if your supervisors, HR, injury comp, if somebody won't let you, then you probably have a OSHA complaint, but you call and ask. People are uncomfortable making accusations. You don't have to do that. You just tell your story and ask. Am I being treated fairly? Do I have a problem here? And file a grievance. And if your union doesn't like that, then I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the ones that like filing grievances. All right.
To answer Julia's question.
Hold on.
Julia's question, right?
Yeah, Julia's question.
All right. Julia's question, so my first question to you would be, is your case open or not?
Yeah.
All right. If your case is accepted already, okay, is your case approved or not? If your case is approved already and your supervisor is not letting you take time off from work, just go to HR and tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
Talk to your injury comp specialist at HR. they will call your supervisor and say you're doing it wrong. Okay? Sometimes it may feel uncomfortable, but you do have to circumvent your supervisor.
You got to do whatever's in your best interest, no matter what.
If you're part of the union, I would definitely go tell your union officer, hey,
Yeah.
can you come talk with me to my supervisor? If you can't do anything, definitely just call your injury comp specialist at HR, and they will help you out. Okay. Before your claim is accepted, they can tell you you can't take off time from work and that you have to use sick time in order to go see the doctor.
Use
Okay?
family medical leave if you need to, FMLA. That'll protect your job. We're all about protecting your job, so you should be too, if you need it. All right, so we're going to go 5 or 10 more minutes because I know we still have a couple more questions. Go ahead.
Is work comp taxable?
No.
That's why they pay the 66 or 75%. It's basically like,
They're not paying you 100% already.
yeah, it's basically like they're taking the taxes out already.
Yeah. So it depends on your
Okay,
dependents. Go ahead.
Kim Davis says, I'm still at a loss because I can't find a doctor to see me. No one will take OWCP. What do I do? I plan to have this conversation when I speak to Eric tomorrow. It was for her eye.
Yeah, well, I'm sure what he's going to say is go to a doctor, keep track of your bills, turn in an OWCP 915, and get reimbursed. Because you can't just go forever, Kim, and not get help. She's got a special case.
Okay.
There's almost no doctors that are,
Okay.
even if they're willing, there's just not any around. She's in an area where they don't have any for her specific situation.
Rebecca says, I'm so grateful for you all and this site. Thank you all for what you do. Thanks for joining tonight, Tom. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it was fun having Tom on.
Nice to meet you too.
And please, everybody, let your friends know we're doing this every week. Like I always say, your friends, your coworkers, and your coworkers who are your friends. All three of those groups. Let them know we're doing this every Wednesday night. We love doing it. And we can never have enough questions. All right, a couple more questions.
Ashley Jeffrey says, as an RCA out on OWCP, how do you get paid? When does payments start, and how many hours do you get paid for it?
You get paid when your case is accepted. Your pay starts by turning in a CA7 form and a CA7A if you need it with documentation so that they will pay you. And from what I understand, they'll pay you once a month, but they'll tell you to turn them in every pay period, so every 2 weeks. So turn in your CA7 forms and all your documentation every couple of weeks and expect to start getting paid on a monthly basis.
But just to clarify something real quick, even though they only start paying you once your case is accepted, if you miss any time from work prior to your case being accepted, they will pay all of those as well.
Yeah, so start documenting all your time now. Don't hold it. Don't hold it till the last minute and your case just got accepted.
Yeah.
Start documenting it day to day now so that when it is accepted, you can be paid on all that stuff when you were off of work before.
Marianne Golden said, thanks, Tom, for the visit and info.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Yeah, we had a good time. You're welcome.
Julia Brown had said her case is accepted.
Okay, good.
Julie
Yeah.
Brown is cut off, I think. Just cut her off, Gini. She's what? Oh no. She can't come back. Just kidding. We know Julia Brown. We're just joking around with her. In fact, she's in our Norwood office.
No, I think this is a different Julia Brown.
No, this can't be. This is my Julia, right?
No.
That has to be.
No, this is a girl that's seeing, I guess, federal injury centers.
Yeah, this is.
Okay, well, if it's our Julia who works for us, we have a Julia Brown.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on. And
She's been relaying patient questions, the frequently asked questions that patients.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Marianne Cratter said, haven't been on in a while. Just wanted to say
Welcome
hi
back.
and say hi to Tom.
Hi.
Yeah.
Sorry for being so bald.
He's very pleased to meet you.
Kim Wall said, will they pay you previous to be accepted?
Yeah, they'll pay you for everything prior to your acceptance as long as you keep proper documentation on the proper forms and turn them in to the claim examiner once your claim is accepted.
Ashley Jeffrey says, but how do they base how you get paid? Do they take an estimate of what you made over a period of time? I work a minimum of 45 hours a week for over 6 months.
Yeah, they're going to take your standard work shift and they're going to give you 66 2/3 or 75% based on the number of dependents that you have at home of what you were getting paid prior to that.
I answered these questions pretty in depth in our CA7 video. So if you go to our website, federalinjurycenters.com, you can even do / videos if you want. But if you go to federalinjurycenters.com, and then it says right on there, videos, just click it and then go to our CA7 video.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of in-depth information.
Yeah, it's really great. And they don't take that long to get through either. So check it out. All right, one more question.
No, there's no more. So, letting everybody know, we are coming to all 50 states, and we only have 7 locations.
Right, we have 7 locations now. The goal is to be in multiple locations in all 50 states. And if you're thinking right now that you're going to ask, are you coming to blank? Whatever goes in the blank, the answer is yes. We are going to that state. We want to be in Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Alaska, Hawaii,
Yep.
Maine. We're in Florida. We want to be in everything in between. The goal is to go east to west and don't miss anything.
We're trying our best, guys. It is difficult to get doctors on board, but we're not stopping.
Yep.
Leticia said, will the doctor in Alabama take me as a new patient when I had carpal tunnel surgery already?
Yeah, the doctor in Alabama loves it when new people come to his office as new patients. It's his favorite thing in the world. And then what he does from there is get your case accepted.
And hearing loss be an OWCP claim?
That's definitely my Julia. All right, so
Moving on.
so you might have noticed I don't have any hair up here. All right, go ahead.
Carol said, I'm trying. Hopefully my doctor got a hold of you. Let her know they didn't.
No, sorry, Carol.
Carol, you haven't. And let them know to message me privately. So
Yeah, send Jeannie a private message on Facebook and any information about doctors. But no, no doctors have contacted us. And now you see what we're dealing with. You know, here we are. We just want to train a new doctor, so you have trained doctors in your area, and they don't want to be found. So we're working on it. It's hard. There's actually nothing harder in this business than finding a doctor willing to say yes to us.
Yep.
That is the hardest thing. And it's like they have an aversion to helping people and making money doing it. So we're trying. We're trying.
Victoria wants to know, how do you become a union rep?
Go talk to your union leader.
Hey, Victoria, I can answer that one. Go talk to your union president. They probably need extra help. They probably love your help. I'll bet you.
We don't have one for our RCAs in our office.
Yeah, I'll bet you they'd love your help.
What state are you in?
Yeah, I saw she's an RCA. We don't know where you're at, what state you're in, but yeah, I'm sure that your president would love to have some extra help. All right.
Ron Jackson said, thank you guys for tonight. Also, let them know about if they have a doctor that they refer, they get a commission.
They can hear you.
So if you have a doctor that you guys are going to refer over to us, and if they sign the franchise agreement and come on board with us at Federal Injury Centers, you will get a $15,000 commission.
10 to 15. It depends on how much the doctor pays,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
it's a percentage of what the doctor pays. But we love paying commissions to anybody who helps us recruit a doctor that says yes and wants to get trained. Yes, Victoria, Indiana too. That's definitely one of the 50 states we would like to go in. I got an area. I'd like to be near South Bend, so I'm near Michigan as well. And I'm a Notre Dame fan, so that would be wonderful for me. All right, so that's going to be it. That's all the questions tonight. We're already running late. I want to make sure that I touch on a few things. Remember to share this. I can't say that enough. Let your friends know this is happening. If you live in an area that is near a Federal Injury Center's office in Florida, in Texas, in Tennessee, and in Massachusetts, and in Alabama, do yourself a favor. If you need the help, go there. If you have friends, coworkers who are your friends, tell them about it. Don't let them struggle, because I guarantee you, if you know someone that's hurt, they're definitely struggle with something. There's just no way around it. Okay, nobody has a perfect run through OWCP. I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare for almost everybody who doesn't know what to do. And it's a nightmare for people who haven't met us. And so we're here doing this. Please let everyone know that we're doing it. Share, and share some more.
And Rebecca says, where do we suggest doctors?
Send a private message to Jeannie on Facebook. And it's Sorogini Helms, Sorogini Helms. And she will be happy to take it from there and help your doctor get connected with one of us so we can present it to them. All right, well, you're all very pleased that you had Tom tonight. I know you are.
Thanks for having me.
You had Jeannie's voice in the background, and you had Tom, who's new to you, to my right, and I'm just this guy that's here every week anyways. It was really, really great having everyone. Please tell all your friends to be here again next week. You be here again next week, where our topic will be something we haven't made up yet.
And Chris is going to shave his head.
Nope.
Yep. Pretty sure that's going to happen.
I don't think that's
I'm
probably...
like 90, I'm pretty sure. We talked about it earlier.
I don't think we did.
They said
I think
thanks,
so.
Tom.
Was that all right?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yes. All right, so
We got
everyone, that's going to be it. We're going to sign off, and we'll see you next week. All right, so everyone be safe out there. Have a good night.
Bye.